ducked into the sallow copse that had sprung up on the land next to his cottage, pushing aside the pliant branches when he needed to and weaving through them when he could. As the slippery mud of the lane gave way to firmer ground among the trees, his tread relaxed, and his attention expanded to take in the October air, already cool but still soft. The scent of growing fungus and sodden moss, the red defiance and yellow lethargy of decaying leaves, and the crows rasping in a nearby field. He felt the life around him and the life inside him flowing into each other, some of it in a tangle of sensation. When he touched the branch, it also touched him, some of it in similes and resemblances, and some on the outer edge of his awareness, like a network of underground streams, or the pale mesh of roots under his feet, known without being seen. He felt this confluence of mutual life, although it was hard to hold in mind, was the fundamental background to all the sharp particularities that tried to monopolize his attention, like the robin that had just landed briefly in front of him, making him mirror the tiny, abrupt movements of its neck, and then inviting him to follow the loops of its descending flight through the trees to the rustle of its rival among the leaves. Each form of life was bringing its own experience into the world, sometimes tightly overlapping with others, like the purple emperor cocoon he had seen stitched to one of these sallow branches last May, sometimes briefly interpenetrating like the robin that had paused on a similar branch only a moment ago, and at other times radically isolated, like a streak of bacteria hidden in an Antarctic rock, but still embedded in its niche of whistling wind and perpetual frost. Later today, Olivia was coming to stay with him for the first time. It was a bold move for two people who knew each other so little, but neither of them had wanted to end the last weekend, with vague promises to meet in a future of crumbling enthusiasm and growing diffidence. At the conference in Oxford, there had seemed to be some subterranean attraction that connected them before they were introduced. They felt something more like recognition than discovery. Olivia was certainly pretty. Her dark brown hair set off her pale blue eyes in an obviously striking way. But it was the clarity of the eyes themselves that got to him. He had the sense of someone who would not just hold his gaze as she did when they first met, long past the fading smiles of routine sociability, but someone who would also hold the gaze of an unsettling experience or an inconvenient fact. It was a kind of moral seduction that lent inevitability to her physical appeal. They had only spent one night together, but it had the tentative intensity of a love affair rather than a practiced abandon of hedonism. What would it be like for her to be on this walk? We should like him feel part of a web of living experience. Francis couldn't help wondering how Olivia's relationship to the natural world had withstood her training as a biologist. So much biology consisted of killing animals, during or after performing experiments on them. It was an education that cried out for dissociation from the rest of nature. It had never been a good time to be a model organism, a fruit fly, a mouse, a dog, a rat, a cat, a rhesus monkey, or a chimpanzee.